Hi, it's Chris Watkin here with the next ICG webinar, and today I'm asking the important question is, why aren't there more females in senior roles in a state agency? And first, I'd like to go to ex-boss man of Douglas Gordon, Ed Meade. Ed, you ran an awfully big letting and estate agency in London. I know you run Viewber now. Because you're very good at cutting to the point, what were you like 10 years ago when you were running?
Well, I'm going to sound a bit like a dinosaur here, but there was no doubt about it. I mean, at D&G, we had fantastic women working for us. We had a very good lady running lettings. I think that was fairly stereotypical in the market, in that a lot of bosses in lettings tended to be female. The truth of the matter is that most women made better sales estate agents because they listened a lot more than most male ones, he says, at risk. But a lot of them didn't want to be managers or have more. Well, at that time, this is quite some time ago now, they simply didn't want to move into the more senior roles because, well, it wasn't that they didn't want to, it's just that we ended up with a lot of men who were much keener for ego reasons and status reasons to take those jobs. And I'm not always sure we ended up with the best women doing the best jobs, but that's just the way it was back then.
So next I'd like to ask Vicky, who is the MD of Location. Did you start as an egg and rise up through the ranks, and what lessons have you learned getting to the role you're at the moment?
So I started as a junior negotiator some 14 odd years ago. So it was a different world back then. But I, like Ed just mentioned, went straight into lettings after doing both sales and lettings as a junior neg. I rose up to be the lettings manager, then the lettings director, and then became obviously the branch manager, so to speak. I think I've done most of the roles within a estate agency, but I got quite lucky, I believe, because I had a bit of a mentor in Assad, who's the CEO of the business, who gave me the opportunities and facilitated creating like the kind of culture with me, giving me a seat at the table in order to be able to express my ideas and vision for the business. And he listened, and together we built something pretty cool.
Okay, Charlotte, you train an awful lot of estate agents through your firm, The Able Agent. Why are there not more senior females in estate agency?
Well, I'm going to throw a curveball in here because I'm based in the Northeast, and actually there's a lot of senior women running really, really good estate agencies in this area. So I do think there might be an element of a north-south divide on this as well, rather than just a male-female divide. But I think a lot of it is about, it goes back to a bit like an imposter syndrome, doesn't it? You know, women, I think, fear more at, am I actually good enough to do this? And I suppose what I try and do in training is make people believe that they're able to do anything they want to do. And I think we're really lucky. I started in 1994, and I had a series of bosses who didn't really care whether I was male or female to a degree. And I don't think I ever have either. So I think I'm very much of the view that you've got to be hungry and want it, whether you're male or female. And I think maybe women are better in the nurturing element of being a manager, and they're better at bringing a team on, and they're better at letting people work with them that may be better than them that perhaps males struggle with a little bit more. But I don't know, I'm very pleased to work with a lot of really senior women in the industry.
Amy, you were, I know you're boss lady of Sprift Sales, but before you were a very well-known estate agent. What are your thoughts on this?
I wouldn't say well-known, but hopefully a good estate agent. I think, so I can only
take the compliment. Take the compliment.
I'll take it from you, Chris. I can only sort of really draw on personal experience here. So, you know, I remember my first ever interview as for an estate agency role, similar to Vicky, junior neg, which was back in 2004. I walked into an estate agent's and have never felt so intimidated in my life, you know, and I literally did the walk through the middle of the office in front of all the guys to the back end of the office to then feel horrifically kind of small in the interview as well. I then stumbled across the agency that I ended up working for 12 years. And I think I was very, very fortunate in that I had an amazing branch manager who ended up being kind of my mentor throughout my 12 years at Romans. And he saw the passion in me, saw the drive, saw the ambition. I think probably exactly what Charlotte sees as a trainer. He kind of put me under his wing and said that, you know, very early on, I'm going to make you a female branch manager. And he almost had the same aim as me, to get me to be the first female branch manager for Romans. So I was very, very fortunate and lucky, but I think leadership and mentorship is so important. You know, Vicky's had the same experience, and training as well. And having, actually, I was very fortunate. I had some fabulous female trainers, and I actually think that makes a difference as well.
So do you think the issue is it's got to be something about self-belief from within yourself, as Charlotte says, imposter syndrome, am I good enough? And again, you ask any estate agent, if there's like 10 requisites on how to be a manager and a man's got 7, they'll say, yeah, we'll wing the other 3. Well, so again, I've spoken with lots of ladies, and if they haven't got all 10, they won't go for it. There's also some form of mentor that you need some guide to lead and support you. Heather, I know you're not an estate agent yourself, but you know, you've got a very senior role in prop tech and you're very well thought of. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you're right. And that science behind that, Chris, is it's been proven time and time again, in that women will wait until they have got every single bit of the criteria to go for a promotion and things like that. But yeah, knowing that, I think it's the role of leaders in any business to identify that and make sure that you adjust for it. You know, there is, funnily enough, I did a lot of work on this in my previous life at KPMG in terms of quotas. And one of the things that contributes to this is that subconsciously, every single one of us are guilty of it, but you will empathize and sympathize and relate more to people that look like, sound like you, are more like you, similar backgrounds to you. So if you're, you know, a senior male in a estate agency, you've got to be aware of that. You've got to be aware of your subconscious biases. And you've also got to be aware that perhaps if you've got females in your team, you need to tell them to go for promotions more than you would need to, you know, with an average man. And I'm talking about averages here, because one of the things that I've read recently, there's a book that actually goes into the science behind the different sexes, and the overlap between men and women is huge. There's only a little bit on either side that is, you know, you could categorize as slightly more female or slightly more male. And the rest of it is just society. So you just need to be conscious of it. And we need to break this vicious circle in estate agency where it's predominantly men at the top.
Okay, so Steve, I'd like to come to you. You're big in the game with Crux Careers, and so obviously you're putting jobs with people. Again, is the issue, or is it with the females not putting themselves forward, or is it the bosses with this, you know, putting barriers in the way? Talk to me.
I think it's both, Chris, to be honest with you. I think it's both. And I mean, you know, just going back to what Ed was saying, I think, you know, times have changed massively. You know, when it was, you know, I think, Ed, we were referring to about 15, 20 years ago. Obviously, these days is a lot different. And I think you'd be very, very surprised the amount of great women that there are, especially in this industry. And I think, to be fair, we are probably one of the industries that has actually embraced women more into senior roles. I mean, I've got friends and I work a little bit in the automotive sector on another project, and that is absolutely diabolical. I mean, that is just so male driven still, with male directors at the top. You might get the odd woman in an HR director role, but I think as an industry as a whole, I think we've moved on massively. We obviously as a recruitment company, we see lots and lots of great women. We place lots and lots of great women in great roles. We've got 4 fantastic ladies here that we all know who do amazing jobs. And I just think, you know, a lot of businesses, if there are still dinosaurs out there, then they need to look at bringing more and more women into that side of things. But certainly, I think there's more great women out there and more great women out there in roles than we actually think in the property sector as a whole.
Good stuff. So I'm just going to have another 20 seconds, and I'm going to give the last 30 seconds to Kristjan. If you know of any senior female estate agents who've got a great story to tell, I would love to interview them on the Watkin sofa, so I can tell that, we can ask their story and find out their story, so we can share the love and share the story, that we can influence and motivate others to come on. And I do know Vicky's coming on soon, and Heather's coming on soon, and Charlotte's already been. So last 10 seconds, 20 seconds to.
Wow, cut me short there, Chris. So I'll say 2 things. The best thing that ever happened to me was my business partner, who was originally going to be a member of staff, my first member of staff, turned around and said, no, not coming and working for you. I'll come and be your partner. Best thing that ever happened to me. And then given the short time, I think as a business, your business should represent who you deal with. You know, bottom line is it's a roughly 50-50 male-female split. That is what your business should be throughout, from bottom to top. As a business, we've also had a very high LGBTQ representation as well, and that means we can engage with different clients from all walks of life.
Thank you very much and wave goodbye, everyone. Thank you. See you on the next one.